Previously on the Rod Pedersen Show.
The organization, the lead up right now, everybody's putting their lists together, doing mock drafts. It's going to change the CFL draft. And I'm going to talk to TSN about putting together what I call a yellow light, red light list. Meaning, if a guy gets drafted, if a CFL eligible guy gets drafted in the NFL, I'd put him on a red light list because he is never coming up. And I'm not, to me, that's a red light. You should probably stop. If he goes as a priority free agent, or maybe he's drafted in the 7th round or a priority free agent, he's on a bright yellow light flashing of be aware, you're probably not going to see him for 3 or 4 years. If he signs with a team as a free agent, he's on a yellow light, be cautious. You might get him in 2 years. And if he goes to a rookie camp, you can not count it. So you have all these different levels of players in the CFL and that make the NFL draft. It's why the CFL drafts after the NFL, because they'll have their draft on, it'll end on Saturday, Sunday. They'll sign all their free agents that they're going to sign and bring. They have these rookie camps where the players, they're not actually under contract. They just go. I had a rookie camp guy a couple of years ago, Corey Greenwood, a Canadian from Concordia, who I drafted 3rd overall, didn't think he was going to get any NFL things. And we were a week out. He had an agent named Jonathan Hardaway, who's sadly passed away, but he was big on holding his guys out. So he was trying to hold him out for an extra week to get him extra money. Well, on his own dollar, Corey drove to Kansas City to one of these rookie camps, and they loved him. He played 5 years. I didn't see him for 5 years back in the CFL. So, that's the way things can happen in this league. And
get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show. Now,
it's kind of a funny story. I was on the stationary bike this morning watching the World Junior coverage. I'm like, we should have Rich Sutter as our World Juniors insider. Boom, send. I sent it to Rich.
How about that?
Not Clark. So Rich wrote me back, I'm in. When Christmas rolls around, everybody's going to be locked down. We're all going to be watching the World Juniors, and we'll all convene here every morning to talk about the game the night before and tee up the next night's game.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Yeah, it is. Thank you, Rick Regan. Hi, everybody. Welcome to a very special edition of the RP Show. Today, not your average sports show. We proved that yesterday, didn't we? I think my mic's booming. I bumped it. Okay, here we go. Live on Game Plus Television. It's the Kansas City Chiefs vintage shirt that I'm wearing today, courtesy of our friends, the Whole Life clothing brand here in Florida. They did that up for me. Let's bring in Darren Moose DuPont. Yes, I'm in the South Florida studio. Moose is in the Toronto studio, and I'm not even gonna do this to you and be that mean guy. This is why it's a very special show today, Darren. It's episode number 1234. And we play around with the numerology. We talk about it a lot. I don't know what's special about it other than that. Are you gonna do something exciting today that's really gonna knock our socks off, Darren? You got something cooking for us?
Well, naturally, great things are going to happen just because of the day. So it's yet to be seen, but we'll see what happens. Still got a lot of show here ahead of us.
Going to be hard to beat yesterday. Oh, my God. People really enjoyed the roam through the neighborhood here. If you missed it, go back and watch it yesterday, because today's a new day. And joining us, the voice of the Saskatoon Blades, the inimitable Les Lazaruk will be with us tonight today for the Band City. They're playing tonight. And Alan May, Washington Capitals TV analyst, joins us. I hope he doesn't mind us bothering him too much, because he's been on a lot, but he's just so good. We love him. As you know, I got a bromance with Alan May. He's coming up in hour 2 from whatever they're calling it now. Monumental Sports TV in Washington, I think, is the name of the channel that carries the Capitals. So that's what we got. Could you hit the quick 6 show horn, please, Director Jordan, or whoever's in there?
How about that?
It's Bryce. I'm sorry.
Bingo.
Darren, I flamed out spectacularly in my breakaway bets last night. As you know, I couldn't have barely been more wrong than what happened. Kudos to you. I think you swept all the games last night. Yeah, let's start in Winnipeg. Mikko Rantanen scored his first 2 goals of the playoffs in the third period, leading the Colorado Avalanche to a 6-3 victory over the Winnipeg Jets. That clinched their first-round series in 5. Rantanen, who also had a helper, scored twice in a span of just under 4 minutes in the third period to snap a 3-3 tie. To quote Colorado coach Jared Bednar, who's from Humboldt, Sask, glad you asked. That's the best hockey we've played for 5 games in a row all season long, and that's what it takes this time of year, and that's partly our experience, I think. Unquote. Kyle Connor, Josh Morrissey, and Tyler Toffoli scored for the Jets. Connor Hellebuck stopped 26 shots. Yeah, but he let in 5 out of 31. Jets coach Rick Bowness telling the media afterwards, quote, in the last 2 years, that's by far the best playoff game we've played. It didn't go our way tonight. Couple goals went in off us. We had some chances that we didn't score. Where was that in the first 4 games? That's a question we're going to have to answer ourselves over the course of the summer. So let's hear it, Winnipeg. You wanted to dump on him yesterday. I say, can we just wait, stick by your team? And they went out and laid a... Well, they lost. Bonus is saying they played great from his opinion, but it doesn't matter. The season's over. The series is over. And let's get it all off your chest. I picked the Jets to win the series. I'm a little shocked that it at least went this fast. How about you?
Oh, yeah, I picked him to win as well. And you're right. To me, it's funny. Does this series not feel like when the Oilers and Flames met in the playoffs not that long ago, just a few years ago or a couple of years ago?
Yeah. Fizzled
where
out.
They
5-game series, yeah.
5-game series. And remember game 1? Didn't the Flames put a bunch of goals on the board? And then it was a bit wild. They let the Oilers back into it, but they still won. And you thought, man, they're going to have their way with the Oilers. And then all of a sudden, Edmonton just steamrolled. It feels like the same way here, that Winnipeg got out. The offense was moving, hustling and bustling, but they let Colorado back into game 1, and the Avs never looked back. It just seems really similar to me. I think there's a lot of great pieces with the Jets. You got to remember, it hurts now. You're in a negative space now. But I think about where they were last year and all the negativity around culture and people at the podium calling each other out. This team's come a long way since then. And I think they've taken steps forward. So it's not panic time to blow it up in Winnipeg, in my opinion.
I'm glad to hear you say that because I couldn't agree more. That won't console the Jets fans, of course. And they are rightfully upset. I got a lot of things I was thinking about today while running at Johnny O's 5K run today, listening to NHL radio, which I enjoy, but I don't put a lot of stock in what I'm hearing there. I listen to that for snack food, but it ain't steak. Like, for instance, Elliot Friedman was on there talking about John Cooper might not be back in Tampa. I'm like, stop, Elliot, stop. But back to the Jets for a second. I want to pose this to the Jets fans. And by the way, don't get mad at me because I didn't lay the egg. They did. Don't get mad at me. But was it Ryan Whitney or whoever it was on Spit and Chicklets said 4 or 5, 6 weeks ago that the Jets are frauds? And you all were so upset about that? Are you going to circle back and say that he was right? I don't know. They weren't what I expected. Connor Hellebuck, well, no matter what you think about him, you're locked into him for 8 more years at $8.5 million a year. So I guess he's not a big game goalie. Again, don't get mad at me. This is what they didn't do on the ice. And our poll question today is regarding the Jets. Will Rick Bowness be back as the head coach of the Winnipeg Jets? And last I looked, 71% of respondents saying yes. And listen to the quote again, the last part of that quote. Where was that the last 4 games? That's a question we're going to have to answer ourselves over the course of the summer. That doesn't sound to me like a guy that's going anywhere. But I've been around the block enough to know that anything can happen. It was a long year for Rick Bowness. He had his own personal health battles. Then his wife had a health battle. Well, I'm assuming it was his own personal health battle. I don't know. We know that his wife, Judy, did. He was away from the team. They're in a point where a day after, they can't make any rash decisions. But I'll say, yeah, it didn't sound to me like he's going anywhere. But and just to finish up on what Darren's saying, you're either going forwards or you're going backwards in life. That's it. And the Jets are going forward. Not as fast as you'd like. But God and the hockey gods don't wear a watch. Write it down. You can't speak for the pace of this thing, but they're going the right way. Kevin Cheveldayoff has done his job. Lay off his ass. There's nothing he can do about the fact they laid an egg. So I started this talking about the frauds comment. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I don't think I don't think the Jets are frauds. I don't. They played really well down the stretch, became one of the top teams in the Western Conference again. I think there's a lot of really good things there. I think Rick Bowness is good for the Jets. I think the culture is good. I didn't hear a lot of blame going around, on an exit. This seems to me like a group that, for whatever reason, Colorado turned it on. They did not. It didn't work out. So you got to figure out how to get that next step at the playoffs again. But you've got Scheifele. You've got Hellebuck locked in long term. Your coach seems like is on the same page with your stars. There's good things happening here. This is not a trend yet. Let's see this through and come back stronger. I think they're going to be fine. I think they're going to be okay.
I do too. But again, not sure that their fans can see that today, and I don't blame them. John Ohm, here it is. Good one from him. I'm a little surprised from John Ohm. He says, I still love my Jets. I would love to know, John, specifically from you, though, what you feel about that frauds comment, because you were particularly upset by them being called frauds. And I don't see any evidence here, based on the last 5 games, that comment was wrong. Bench in Edmonton writes in, he says, I can't remember the soon-to-be Vezina goalie crumbling so hard in the first round. Could have used his boys around him a bit more. Jordan S. writes in, he says, I'm not shocked that Colorado dominated them. Well, in retrospect, no. You watch those games, Makar was Makar, McKinnon was McKinnon. And by the way, they went back to Georgiev even though he stunk it up in game 1, which was, I can't remember what analyst was talking about that. They could have pulled him. They thought about pulling him and starting somebody else. But the playoffs are the time that you stick with your people, that you dance with the one that brought you. That's not when you go changing things, in my opinion. So, yeah, we got to move on time-wise. But you just settle in. We got a lot to get to today. CFL Draft we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about what's going on in the NBA. The Blue Jays lost last night. Look ahead to tonight's NHL game, so just chill out, relax. The Toronto Maple Leafs, playing without star sniper Austin Matthews, avoided elimination from the NHL playoffs Tuesday night when Matthew Nye scored 2:26 into overtime, giving the desperate visitors a 2 win over the Boston Bruins. Jake McCabe also scored for the Leafs, who trail the series now 3-2 with Game 6 Thursday in Toronto. Trent Frederick scored for the Bruins. Just so you know that everybody's paying attention to this. Walked into Johnny O's today. Did I tell you that Johnny O is from Boston? That's the gym where I work out, as do Nick and Joey Bosa and Travis Kelce and a lot of NFL greats. And Chris Cotta. Johnny O was fit to be tied. I said to him, Darren, this is the kind of relationship we have. I said, who won the Bruins game last night? Don't even talk to me. 2 shots, 2 flipping shots in the first period. He's going off about the Bruins. He was dialed in, man. You think people in Florida don't care about the hockey? They do. They're getting into the hockey. And I'm sitting there watching the game last night, pulling for the Leafs, which I picked them to win. I've said it all year. I'll be the happiest guy in the world if they win the Stanley Cup. So I was happy with the result last night. Without Matthews. No Matthews, no problem. Were you on the edge of your seat last night?
A little bit. I thought, they played a very complete game. But defensively, they were good. Offensively, they controlled the puck. They were patient. They started getting traffic in front of Jeremy Swayman. But here's what it's like being a Leafs fan. You play a flawless opening period, right? 2 shots, and one of those shots was like in the first 30 seconds of the game. You basically held them to nothing. You score, you go up. One mistake, it's in the back of your net. Boston gets one more shot, it's in. That's what it's like being a Leaf fan. It's never easy. And of course, the game was going to go to overtime. But you know what? It proved something, too. They can win those games. I thought Boston played a little gingerly, early in the series. They played like a team that, is not afraid to lose. They're just going to go after you, and they're going to play their game and do their thing. They were a little timid, I think, last night. And I don't know if that was a case of, okay, let's not screw this up like we did last year, and you start playing a little too careful. But we'll see if they come back in game 6 the same way. I don't think they will, but, you said Matthews out. I've always kind of thought, as much as he's been quiet, John Tavares has been a guy who's kind of been quiet and been, criticized for not putting up the points. When the chips are down, he usually makes something happen. He scored the OT goal, right? And the clincher against Tampa, and then he created the play for Matthew Knies to score last night. So at least the captain's getting it done.
I'm pulling for the Leafs. They deal with so much crap. And I'm with you. They did play a little scared. I didn't see the possession or defensive zone time, but the puck was in Toronto's end a lot. And I was like, boys, you're not going to win with a puck in your zone. But they pulled it off. So bravo! Brian in Hudson's Bay writes in. He says, happy Wednesday, guys. The Jets are what I thought they were. Are the Bruins on their way to blowing another 3-1 series lead? And he says, the Canucks are not impressing me. Oilers will chew them up and spit them out if they meet next series. Have a good one, guys. Thank you, Brian in Hudson's Bay, the Moose capital. To the friends, well, I feel bad that the Vancouver-Nashville game is to us like an addendum, a tack on. But that's the way that it is. Canucks got enough fans. They don't need us. The visiting Nashville Predators scored 2 third-period goals, including one by Alexander Carrier with under 8 minutes left in the game to beat the Vancouver Canucks 2-1. To avoid elimination, Roman Josi also scored for the Preds, who trailed the best-of-7 series 3-2. Nikita Zadorov scored for the Canucks Game 6 Friday in Smashville. And the Carolina Hurricanes scored 3 unanswered goals in the third period, including 2 8 seconds apart to defeat the visiting New York Islanders 6-3 and win their first-round best-of-7 NHL playoff series in 5 games. Seth Jarvis led the Canes with a goal and 2 helpers. Evgeny Kuznetsov had a goal and an assist. And I'm really pulling for Kuznetsov, a champion of the written off, like those of us that have been written off, and come back with a illustrious next chapter. So you picked the Preds to extend it. It might win the whole damn thing. I'm talking about this series. What'd you think about those games?
Yeah, I did. I think, they're playing the right way, and they just got to continue to be patient, and their chances will come. Vancouver, I thought they had a better start last night. I watched a good chunk of that game, and I thought they had a much better start, at least got some pucks on it, but they didn't sustain it. And again, we're seeing periods. I mean, did we even see a period with double-digit shots? Vancouver needs to find a way to get something. And whether that's, they're going to have to get a little greasy or what, but they got to find a way to generate something offensively because, all year long, I don't think Vancouver's hallmark has been winning 1-0 and 2-1 games. They need to score. They've got enough firepower, and they need to skate, and those things aren't happening right now.
Run and gun. Get back to the run and gun. It's has been a fast-paced series. I didn't watch any of that game last night. By the way, Bill Edwards writes in, the guy that gave me the Ron and Don bobblehead. Bill, important thing here. He says, morning all from the $1 Million Rain, Regina. You need to update that, Bill. It's now a $1 billion rain. You're welcome. In the ag industry. And he says, who else liked the way the linesman put the rat on his back? Go Leafs, go. Yeah, the linesman tackled Brad Marchand. More than anything, I'm watching going, this is a war. This has evolved or devolved into a war, and I love it. That's what we love about playoff hockey. Dale Berezook in Winnipeg writes in, he says, you know what? Jack and I, his son, go on to the summer with smiles. Spent a bit too much money over a few days. Not a problem. Life stuff. You have the right perspective, Dale, but you always do. We'll continue this fun chat when we come back. And on the way, Les Lazaruk and Alan May. We are live on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
The live sports experience is changing. teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Farmers was a Canadian Football League offensive lineman who played 10 seasons in the CFL, all for Winnipeg. In 1988, he was the Bombers' most outstanding lineman, part of the Grey Cup championship winning Bombers in 84, 88, and 90. In 1998, he went into the Winnipeg Blue Bombers Hall of Fame. He resigned as president and CEO of the Bombers December 17th, 2009. Was coming out that he was joining the Calgary Stampeders in the same role, which he did. It was January, a month later, the Stampeders announced that Lyle would be their new CEO, and he held that position for 3 years. Lyle Bauer, great man, obviously, great football player, was a huge supporter of mine and this show because he knew us as CFL people. There were none finer than him in the league. Condolences to the Bauer family and Bomber fans and the Bomber team. Great man. He left nothing on the field, let's put it that way. If we can bring the Moose in, I'm just going to read a couple sports updates because not updates, but just a couple topics, Moose. A pair of nail biters and NBA playoff action on Tuesday. The visiting Philadelphia 76ers stayed alive in their best-of-7 series with a 112-106 overtime win over the Knicks, who still lead the series 3-2. And the Cleveland Cavaliers edged the visiting Orlando Magic 104-103 to take a 3-2 lead. In the late game, the Bucks avoided elimination by beating the visiting Indiana Pacers 115-92. Pacers lead the series 3-2. To the Toronto Blue Jays, point 3. Michael Massey's 2-run homer gave Kansas City a lead it never relinquished as the Royals beat the Blue Jays 4-1. Bobby Witt Jr. and Vinny Pasquantino had back-to-back RBI doubles in the 8th inning to give Kansas City some insurance. Bo Bichette's RBI single in the 6th inning was all the offense Toronto could muster. The two teams will play a matinee this afternoon at Rogers Center. For the CFL fans who have showed up today, let me just pause for a second, Darren. I flipped on Colin Cowherd yesterday afternoon just because it was on. Why do we watch a lot of shows? Just because they're on. And it was do you get Colin Cowherd's television show in Canada on any of the million networks there? You do? I don't have sound. Is that a me problem?
That was a me problem. I watch it, Rod.
Okay, I'd say you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I watch it, but I don't believe any Canadian outlets pick up the show. I don't think they do.
Well, there you go. If that's not a message for the networks, you're watching it streaming, obviously. The reason I bring it up, it was good. Colin Cowherd is one of the best, and I think you think is the best. To me, I think Dan Patrick's the best. But whatever. Potato, potato. We all have our choices. He was saying about Jamal Murray of the Denver Nuggets. Maybe you saw this yesterday because you watched the show. He goes, I would rather be Jamal Murray of the Nuggets. I got a championship ring. I own the town. Nobody knows me really outside Denver. And he's a Canadian, by the way, as we all know, Jamal Murray. Versus a Carmelo Anthony, and he named off a few other huge NBA stars that have huge endorsement deals, and they're on billboards in New York, but don't have a championship. Have their shoe deal, have all these, you know what I mean? Huge brand as a player, but don't have the rings. He's like, I'd rather be Jamal. And I was kind of like sucked into the conversation. I'm like, he's not doing anything different than what we do, but we don't talk about the NBA. We talk about what's important to the majority of our audience. It's not like Canada doesn't care about the NBA, but it's not that big a deal. But I would think it would be elementary. You'd rather be the guy with the championship rings. How much money do you need versus your own brand, right? Did you see that conversation? And what do you think about it?
That's the Wolf of Wall Street. Not the Wolf of Wall Street. That's the Wall Street. That's Gordon Gekko. How many boats can you really water ski behind? You know, that's the question. I think, the guys who have the big brands, like look at like a LeBron. Right now, LeBron's got championships, but when you got a big brand like that and you have access to Hollywood and all these other experiences, it's a completely different life. I think, Colin's making that comparison for Jamal Murray. It's actually kind of nice. You don't have to have people banging on your door and paparazzi, but you got a big paycheck anyways because, the NBA pays pretty well and you're a good player and you got a championship. And he's kind of like, in terms of pro athletes and being a big brand, Jamal Murray's got like the quiet little acreage and nobody's going to bother him. And he's kind of got the best of both worlds. I think, he's kind of zeroing in on maybe that's the sweet spot. Not too high, not too low, got a lot of satisfaction in life, got a lot of money, right? But I don't have, glitz and glamour of Hollywood. That's not a bad place to be for Jamal Murray.
Everybody's different, but Jamal Murray's got a lot of years to play too. He could end up being that guy. Steph Curry's probably in the sweet spot. He's got the rings and the money and the shoe deal and. You know what I mean? But let me just boil it down to this if anybody doesn't know. Talk about Lyle Bauer and his 3 championship rings. It's in his damn bio. All that matters is winning. So it's elementary. Carmelo Anthony will be up at night, unable to sleep for the rest of his damn life because he's never won an NBA title, whereas Jamal Murray can sleep like a baby. I'm so off, but that's okay. That's what we do here. Off the point. because we had a guy, people will know him, a lot of our viewers, Andrew Green, played in the NFL for the Seahawks and the Dolphins, some great years with Saskatchewan, and played for Winnipeg too, few CFL. He never won a Grey Cup. So, but he had a beautiful diamond ring from the CFL as the most outstanding lineman. But his teammates that did win Grey Cups used to always bug him that he never won. And you know how he talks, right? And I remember I was around him a lot, Andrew Green, and people would say, "What's that ring for? What's that ring for, Mr. Green?" "That ring right there, that's for whumping everybody that's in the CFL all year." And of course, you know me, I'm like, till Grey Cup. You always, these guys, it keeps them awake at night. The Dan Marino, what? I'm sorry. Was that too good or too bad of an impression?
No, it was great. But the fact that, you just in with the jab, right? Got the jab there.
Yeah. That's for whumping everybody that. Oh, yeah. I'm trying to, at my advanced age, I'm not sure if I can stop. People say them to me. Nobody cares. Anyways, on that vein, remember that time we were having lunch at the Tap with some CFL greats, Mike Abu-Meshwick, and he had a brain fart. And I said, maybe it's CTE. You hit the floor. Guess we shouldn't joke about it.
That was a safe space.
Anyways, continuing. That was a safe space, exactly. Joel Dublanko didn't have to wait long to learn where he'll start his CFL career. The Edmonton Elks selected the rugged linebacker first overall in the CFL Draft Tuesday night. He was regarded as the most pro-ready draft prospect, and I wonder why. After his college career at Cincinnati, he spent time with the Saints and Seahawks before spending last season with the USFL's Philadelphia Stars. He's deemed Canadian because his dad's from Edmonton. He joins an Edmonton team that hasn't made the playoffs since 2019. Ottawa Redblacks went second. They picked Oakville, Ontario product Nick Mardner, a receiver who played at Hawaii, Clemson, and Auburn. The Saskatchewan Roughriders look to shore up their offensive line at number 3, taking Boston College guard Kyle Hergel. The Toronto product, though, signed a free agent deal with the NFL's New Orleans Saints. This is so confusing for people that don't understand how this works. Quote from Hergel, meeting reporters after the draft: "I didn't have any expectations going into the CFL draft. I'm looking forward to getting down to New Orleans. Any opportunity is a great opportunity. I'm just thankful." Okay. At number 4, the Calgary Stampeders took McGill defensive back Benjamin LaBrosse. The Argos landed Laval's Kevin Mattel with the 5th pick. Laval receiver Kevin, if I'm saying that right, we all know who he was. He was a stud at the combine and so forth. The BC Lions selected Windsor offensive lineman George Una. Hamilton Tiger Cats followed suit, taking Laval O-lineman Nathaniel Dumoulin-Duguay. I wonder if he's related to Ron. At number 7, Calgary acquired the 8th pick from Winnipeg, selected Washington State offensive lineman Christy Nakanu, and the Grey Cup champion Montreal Alouettes concluded the opening round by taking Memphis linebacker Jeffrey Canton-Arcu. There's your Canadian press summary, Darren, but you were like ensconced in this. I was following your Twitter last night. So what's your wrap of the CFL draft?
Yeah, I mentioned this last night. I think it's exciting for the players selected. It's exciting for the teams and the fan bases. I actually saw on social a few teams having draft parties, which was kind of neat. But for me, as a television voice in the Canada West, the 18 players selected from Canada West, I think Nick Weeb was one of the first. The 2 offensive linemen, and Theo Benedett and Giomanu, went from the UBC Thunderbirds, with others too. A lot of others, went there. The lineman Simmons, Jarrell Cummings, there was others. Alberta Golden Bears, Matthew Pedersen, the reigning player of the year, was selected. There was a few from all teams, which is great. And all the U Sports players and the players that get drafted. It's an exciting night for them. So it was a good night. It was a really good night, and congratulations to everybody who got drafted.
The Rough Riders are getting flamed for their picks. In some case, the high-end ones. You mentioned Nick Weeb, their second-round pick from the U of S, torn ACL. He's not going to play. It was a very risky draft by them, which goes against everything general manager Jeremy O'Day has ever done and stood for. He's the play it safe guy. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says, did the Riders know the third overall pick signed in the NFL? O'Day addressed that, said they're willing to wait. He said they have the luxury of depth. It's quotes I heard. Therefore, they can wait for him to sign. Carlos in Indianapolis says, not one quarterback drafted. It's an interesting and stark difference between the CFL and NFL drafts. One of the many, which we don't have time to get into today. Maybe Friday we will on a Football Friday. Randy from Winnipeg writes in. He says, TSN had the draft on last night. I missed the first round. Didn't know it was on. Thought I was flipping channels. Utah Darren writes in and says, are there any Canadian quarterbacks that are in the CFL mix? Well, Nathan Rourke, if he ever came back from the NFL, or his little brother Curtis, who next year will be eligible, but he's making millions on an NLI deal in Indiana. So, let's wait till Friday, and we'll ask Dave Naylor and Jim Barker how the NIL name, image, likeness deal in college football has affected the CFL, because it's affected it mightily. Mightily. Moose, I'll see you in hour 2. This has been fun.
You bet. See you then.
In next, Les Lazaruk, my brother from another mother. We are live on the Game Plus television network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at IKSGameDay.com.
The race for the Cantera Seed Cup continues on Flow Hockey TV. The SJHL playoffs are on.
60 minutes, and who wants it more?
Follow the race for the Cantera Seeds Cup on Flow Hockey TV.
Foreigner, live in Moose Jaw. Foreigner is back. The Farewell Canada Tour. You're as cold as ice. May 13th, the Moose Jaw Event Center. Foreigner, with special guest, Headpins. Tickets on sale now at sasktix.ca and the Moose Jaw Event Center box office.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Okay, the RP show continues. Martin Rice-Savvy's goal at 7:14 of the third period snapped a 1-1 deadlock and lifted the Moose Jaw Warriors to a 3-1 win over the Saskatoon Blades to grab a 2-1 lead in the WHL's Eastern Conference Final. Game 4 is tonight in the Jaw. Les Lazaruk called it. I was paying attention, Les. His 2200th broadcast in the dub. And before we get to that, Les, am I right? Did I have that right? 2200th?
You have it right. Yes, that's correct, Rod. I want your shirt, by the way. That is a great, great shirt.
That's from Florida clothing brand Whole Life. It's supposed to be Chiefs colors. Many think it's Flames colors, but it's not. It's the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Before we get to
the Chiefs.
Before we get to the dub, you're a proud Winnipegger, former Jets broadcaster. Where are you today on the 5-game ouster, the gentleman's sweep pulled off by Colorado over Winnipeg?
Yeah, it's happened 2 years in a row, and I don't like it. It's unfortunate. It just seems odd that a very good defensive team that won 52 games during the regular season couldn't play team defense and couldn't keep the puck out of their net. That's what's very disappointing and upsetting from a Jets fan's perspective, is that Colorado. And I mean, here's the other thing, though, too. And I've said this to my family. I've said this on the air back in Saskatoon. I mean, every once in a while on air, I will refer in my daily commentary to how much of a Jets fan I am in the NHL. And I said that when they beat the Avalanche 7-0 in Denver on the final weekend of the regular season, I said that is the worst thing you do, is embarrass your potential first-round playoff opponent in their building in a game in the regular season just before the playoffs start. You don't think that wasn't remembered by people like Nathan McKinnon and Cale Makar, et cetera, et cetera? And yeah, it looked pretty good after game one, but that's a very good Colorado Avalanche team, one that could win the Stanley Cup, even though they're going to have to do it pretty much on the road throughout these NHL Stanley Cup playoffs.
Yeah. It's what has gone on the last 5 games is really inexplicable. And I guess you talk about Colorado, they won a cup, looks like they could win a cup. I'll say this, because I get asked it, you probably get asked it, you think it. You envision the Winnipeg Jets winning a Stanley Cup, like with this group, Chevy, Bones, Scott Arniel, if he were to take over, and this group of players, like, they're a great team, I thought.
Yeah. But they're not. And there's something missing, whether it's behind the bench, I don't think so. Whether it's in the GM's chair, I'd like not to think so, because I know Kevin Cheveldayoff, and I know how hard he works and how he tries to do everything he can to make the Winnipeg Jets competitive. Is it in the locker room itself? I know Josh Morrissey is somebody that I've come to appreciate and appreciate his talents, but I think some of your bigger guys, I mean, you have to look at Connor Hellebuck, and he just didn't perform like a Vezina Jennings Trophy winning goaltender in round one. And Mark Scheifele, I mean, was on nights the best player on the team, but he just didn't do it consistently enough in the playoffs, hasn't done it consistently enough in the playoffs. And I'll throw Nikolai Ehlers in there as well, as another guy that's been around for a while, and they just can't seem to win with him in the lineup. So maybe you have to make some moves and start changing direction and go through a few years of, dare I say, it's the dirtiest word in sports and hockey especially, rebuild.
Yeah, fair. I respect you immensely. Usually you rebuild dumpster fires. They're not that. So that's why I think it's they're not. That's why it's so confusing.
Yeah, it is. But I think at some point, the definition of insanity is doing something over and over again and it doesn't work. Well, this is almost insanity, really, for the Jets, is that they keep using the same people and doing the same sorts of things, and it hasn't worked. So somewhere along the line, you have to change it up in order for it to work and eventually get to that sacred prize, the Stanley Cup. And it would really be something for the city of Winnipeg to be able to do that. I mean, everybody craps all over the city and all over the Jets because of it's small, it's cold, it's not the greatest place. The downtown's terrible to walk in. You're fear for your life when you go there. I mean, all those things work against the city and against good players wanting to go there. And yet, if they could ever put together a team that could win, my God, they could own the city. They could run the show for a while. I mean, whoever the mayor is, I don't even know who the mayor of my own hometown is anymore, but whoever it is, they'd probably step aside and let somebody from the Jets take over.
Exactly. Well, maybe you can run for mayor in your post-career broadcasting career, Les. But hey, out of pure curiosity, where are you guys staying? Where are you holed up at today? Where are you doing the interview from?
My hotel room in the Holiday Inn Express. It's brand new in the eastern end of Moose Jaw. If there is such a thing as the east end of Moose Jaw, I can see the Trans-Canada Highway out my window and the traffic going by, going not too far. We're not that far away from the Moose statue here in Moose Jaw, so not too far from Thatcher on the east end of Moose Jaw.
I know exactly where it is, and it's not that new of a hotel, I don't think. But I am a member of the wonderful Holiday Inn brand. Okay, Les, down 2-1 in the series. It's been a real humdinger, hasn't it? As advertised this series.
That's what everybody says. The coaches on both sides, Brennan Sawney for the Blades and Mark O'Leary for the Moose Jaw Warriors, have both said it has been as advertised, and it has been. The first two games, both going to overtime in Saskatoon, and scoring the first two goals and scoring first period in this series has not been good because the team that has done that has gone on to lose. The Blades had a 2-0 lead in game one. Moose Jaw pushed back, took the lead. Blades found a way to extend it to overtime, and Moose Jaw won in the overtime. Game two, Moose Jaw had a 2-0 lead after the first period. The Blades came back and were able to win in overtime. And then last night, the Blades opened the scoring, but they didn't deserve to be in the lead, according to Brennan Sawney. He wanted them to pick up their play in the second period, and it didn't happen. He wasn't really pleased with his team's play for 40 minutes. They were outshot badly, 27-16. They picked it up in the third. They played desperately in the third period like they had to play for a full 60 minutes, and they had a chance. I mean, Jackson Unger in goal made an outstanding glove stop while sprawled on the ice to prevent the tying goal from happening, and eventually the Warriors scored into the empty net to claim the victory and go up 2-1 in the series. So it's been a good close series. It hasn't broken out offensively on both sides, which is maybe a little surprising to some people because both these teams have some high-powered offense. But this has been a defensive series so far, and it has been an interesting chess match between the two coaches behind the benches.
All of it is a fantastic matchup. I'm worried about Kelly Rempel's ticker in the Rempel Temple if he can take this. Les, you've been broadcasting.
He can't because I see him walking all the time.
Yeah, Blades games since 1995. Am I right in that? 1995 Blades games?
94. September of 94, I started doing this.
Okay, summer of 94. You've been around for a lot of Blades hockey. You've been around for a lot of Warriors hockey, too. Is this the best Warriors team ever? There are some that think that it is.
Well, they certainly have a lot of great pedigree on their roster. Is it the best Warriors team ever? I mean, some people would look at the 2006 team that got to the Western Hockey League final and lost to the Vancouver Giants in that series as being a great team, one of the greats of all time. I mean, there was the teams that had Braden Point on it that were pretty decent. The team that went and had Jaden Halbogawaks on it, scoring 60 goals one year, and unfortunately flamed out in the second round of the playoffs against Swift Current, who eventually won the championship back in 2018. That was a very good Moose Jaw team. This one may very well be the better one because they've got the first round picks of Yeager and Matejchuk on defense and Matthew Savoy up front. And then you got Jagger Firkus, who was the WHL scoring champion this year. And he's a second round pick of the Seattle Kraken. And a 20-year-old named Atlee Calvert, who has scored a goal in each game of this series and had 47 of them during the regular season. So it's a very good team. Is it the best ever? I would say there's possibly, and I know that I'll bristle some folks in Moose Jaw by saying this, possibly some holes with their team defense, their defense core, and a lot of people still aren't convinced about Jackson Unger, although that should have been put to bed last night with the way he played. But if you ask a lot of people around, that's where they can be had, is in between the pipes, and if you can get behind their defense and make them really have to work. So it's debatable. If they win the WHL championship, I'll qualify it. I'll say if they win this WHL championship this year, greatest Moose Jaw team ever, without a doubt.
We have 30 seconds. The best Blades team ever is 1989, correct? Mike Greenlay in goal, losing in overtime of the Memorial Cup final. Got to be.
Yeah, it would be that one because it came so close. You could also argue the team that won 56 games but flamed out in the second round against Kootenay in 2011 with Braden Shen in the lineup. You could say, the 1992, 1994 teams where Lauren Mulliken took them. Yeah, I see that. 92, 94, we took them to the WHL final and lost both times to Kamloops. But yeah, probably 89 would probably be the one.
Gotcha. Always love chatting with you, Les. Love following your stuff. I'll explain when we come back why I call you the Elton John of the WHL broadcasters. I don't think you're fond of that, but you are. I don't even know that. My brother. Well, you are for sure my brother from another mother. Thank you, Lester. Have a great call, man.
Not a problem, Roddy. Take care.
Les Lasrick, the voice of the Saskatoon Blades. And he knows I call him the Elton John of the WHL broadcasters, and I'll explain why when we come back in a moment. Alan May's on the way in hour 2. We're live on the Game Plus television network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. DDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Foreigner, live in Moose Jaw. Foreigner is back. The Farewell Canada Tour. You're as cold as ice. May 13th, the Moose Jaw Event Center. Foreigner, with special guest head pins. Tickets on sale now at sasktix.ca and the Moose Jaw Event Center box office.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Elton John story in a second regarding the Dub playoffs. Glenn Erickson in Medicine Hat writes in, he says, really good hockey. The WHL Conference Finals. Interesting observation that the teams trailing 2-1 in each series seem to be pitting their hopes on rookie goalies. How about that? The reason I call Les the Elton John of WHL broadcasters is because I was driving through Saskatoon on my way to Edmonton, I think, and I was listening to Les. This would have been about his 1700th broadcast, and I'm like, this guy is like it's his first. He was so excited to be broadcasting that particular hockey game. I think it was the intermission. It just flashed in my mind of watching Elton John perform in the Brand Center in Regina one time in about 2009. Crocodile Rock, he's doing live, and he's performing it like it was the first time he'd ever performed it. He's been singing it for 40 years. And when he was done, he stood up on the piano bench and went. And I'm like, there's Les. Tonight, he might do that in the broadcast booth at Moose Jaw. Wouldn't be surprised. Wouldn't blame him. There are 2 playoff games in the Stanley Cup Playoffs tonight, including one in Edmonton, where the Oilers can finish off the Los Angeles Kings with a victory. They're up 3-1. In Dallas, the Stars will be aiming to take a 3-2 series lead over the defending Stanley Cup champion Vegas Golden Knights. The home team has lost every game in the series. Okay, for all of you that have been writing and talking about this, goaltender of the year candidate James Venny made 29 saves, and Aiden Hutchinson scored the winner at 5:30 the third period as the Melfort Mustangs claimed the Cantera Seeds Cup with a 4-1 victory in Game 6 over Flin Flon at Northern Lights Palace. The Melfort Mustangs will now represent the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League at the Centennial Cup in Oakville, Ontario, May 9th to the 19th. Sports update is for Common Crown Brewing, turning your everyday common beer into a unique and exceptional experience. And for commoncrown.ca, or for Landmark Cinemas. In Landmark Cinemas, May 3rd, The Fall Guy from real-life stuntman and director David Lee. The blockbuster director of Bullet Train, Deadpool 2, Atomic Blonde, and Fast and Furious comes his most personal film yet, a new hilarious, hard-driving all-star thriller that's also a love movie as well. Starring Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt. You talked me into it. You talked me into it. I'll go to The Fall Guy at Landmark Cinemas. Okay, let's get him going. Sober Carpenter text line 902-518-3033. The focus will be the NHL tonight. Next hour, Alan May will be joining us. Whatever you all would like to talk about, that's where we get it all together after this brief pause on Game Plus and Key Radio.
You're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The race for the Cantera Seeds Cup continues on Flow Hockey TV. The SJHL playoffs are on.
60 minutes and who wants it more?
Follow the race for the Cantera Seeds Cup on Flow Hockey TV.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. DDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
No! It's kind of a funny story. I was on the stationary bike this morning watching the World Junior coverage. I'm like, we should have Rich Sutter as our World Juniors insider. Boom, send. I sent it to Rich.
How about that?
Not Clark. So Rich wrote me back, I'm in! When Christmas rolls around, everybody's going to be locked down. We're all going to be watching the World Juniors, and we'll all convene here every morning to talk about the game the night before and tee up the next night's game.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
All right, everybody, welcome to the RP Show. It's hour 2. We're coming at you here on Game Plus Television. I'm smiling because a couple reasons. Producer Clark telling me as the intro rolls, we don't have Darren here. So that completely changes my focus going into hour 2 because I was expecting to have him. So I'm just thinking, let me think. I'm joking. I can handle it fine on my own. Because we got a lot of comments have come in here from the viewers. And I said we would talk a lot about tonight's games in the Stanley Cup Playoffs. I'm going to recap what we've talked about in hour 1. We've got some sad news out of lots of sad news out of Winnipeg, actually. But we talked about the NHL leftovers from last night. The Jets' season is over. They lost 6-3 at home to the Colorado Avalanche last night. The Avs win it in 5, and they move on. The other sad news out of Winnipeg is the passing away of Lyle Bauer at the age of 65. Which, if this was a Winnipeg show, and you would almost think that it is, given our viewership there and the amount that we talk about Winnipeg sports, which, by the way, I'm here for, we could spend 2 hours on Lyle Bauer. 3-time Grey Cup champion, offensive lineman of the Bombers, into the Bomber Hall of Fame in 1998, former president of that team, plus the Calgary Stampeders. He should probably be in the Canadian Football Hall. No, not probably. Should be in the Canadian Football Hall of Fame. But I'm going to work myself into a tangent here because the things that used to qualify you for the Hall of Fame doesn't anymore. And today's not the day to get upset about that. It's to be honoring Laubauer, who I see my Bomber friends like Mike Kelly, Chris Walby, these guys just pouring their hearts out on social media about Laubauer and his life. And he was good to me as a CFL guy over in Saskatchewan. He didn't get caught up in the petty rivalries. He just saw that I was good for the CFL, as was he, and we spoke man to man very respectfully. I respect that about Laubauer. And anybody that knows him, that would not surprise you, right? I will get to your comments. Just hang on. What else did we talk about? The CFL Draft. We'll come back around on that. Blue Jays lost to the Royals 4-1 last night in Toronto, and they'll have a matinee this afternoon, 3:10 first pitch. We covered the NBA playoffs, which isn't the biggest thing around here on this show, but we do it. And here's Moose now. I'll clean out the text line from the viewers, Darren. We talked about junior hockey with Les Lazaruk, the Elton John of junior hockey broadcasters. I'm not sure he likes that, but I don't care. We talked about the Dub playoffs, but also the Melfort Mustangs moving on to the Centennial Cup. It's a big deal to us. I think we have beaten the viewers into submission. They understand if it's big to us, we're going to talk about it. So the Centennial Cup's a big deal. The Canadian National Junior A Championship, Melfort is going to it. It's a surprise. I won't get into all that. But Darren Ramsdell in Melfort writes in. He has been writing in like every day about this series, just so you know, Darren. 902-518-3033. He says, congrats to the Melfort Mustangs and hats off to the Bombers, showing respect to their opponents, the game, and themselves. It was a great scene watching them on one knee, watching what could have been theirs across the ice. How about that? The Mustangs were celebrating and the Bombers never left the ice. They watched it all.
That's cool.
I'd like to think I'm a sportsman. I wouldn't do that. Goodbye. Well, that's them. Making me feel even tougher that they lost. Who does that? Who stays out there to watch the other team celebrate?
It's rare.
A very sportsmanlike team.
Yeah, you see it once in a while. Like we've seen the pictures of Stefan Diggs standing there watching the other team celebrate, and everybody says, watch out for him next year. Going to come back. But, yeah, I mean, most people would be gone to the locker room and changed and in the showers before that celebration even starts.
You can't get away with much with our audience, which is fine. I think, again, here's authentic me to my own peril. James Junquist in Calgary writes in on the Sober Carpenter text line. He says, RP, how is Vancouver supposed to play a run and gun with goalie number 3 in net? They will win this series. Maybe. Because I said Vancouver's got to open it up. Here's the thing. You're right. I was the one last week, you remember, I said Rick Tocchet's got to fashion a new way to play because they're down to their third string goalie, and they have done that. But they lost a 2-1 game last night in an elimination game. So they're still up 3-2. I still think they'll come back and win. But you're right, James. They can't open it up, and that is the defensive style that Rick Tocchet has put in their game because of what's happened to Thatcher Demko. That's my read on it. But the fact of the matter is, I don't really care. Vancouver is Darren's team, number 2 team. His number 1 team's the Leafs. I'm just not a Canucks fan. Like, I don't care if they win the Stanley Cup and end the Canadian drought. I'll be happy about it, but I'm not sitting there living and dying and thinking about what the Vancouver Canucks and what they need to do. I'm just not. Fair?
Yeah, absolutely it's fair. But the goaltender's not part of a run and gun style. Let him worry about stopping the puck. You got to find a way in front of him to find some goal support.
Yes, but you need to help him, and that's what they've been doing. If you watch those Vancouver games, they've lapsed into a defensive shell for that reason, and it's worked some nights. It hasn't worked in others. And we're all shocked they went down in Nashville and won twice. So I still think they'll win, and I really hope that they have Demko the rest of the way. I really do, because they do deserve. I'm not anti-Vancouver. I'm just not pro-Vancouver. Stephen in North Dakota writes in and says, greetings and hallucinations from 48-degree Fahrenheit, Crosby, North Dakota. The Leafs will fall in the second round. Their pattern is next round after 20 years. He says they'll get a color Stanley Cup photo in 60 to 80 years. He's just speaking his own language. You understand that. We talked a lot about the Leafs. I said we would talk about tonight's games. And that's what we do here. I said I would empty out last hour's text messages, and I probably went one too far there. But Darren's pulling for the Leafs. That's his team. I'm pulling for the Leafs because they deal with a lot of crap, and I didn't think they'd win last night. Darren, you picked all four right. Did you not last night? I think you did.
3 out of 4. I think we both picked Winnipeg to win. So the other 3 I got right.
All I know is I failed miserably in my picks. The poll question before we move on to tonight is, will Rick Bowness return as the head coach of the Winnipeg Jets next season? And I know there will be some people saying, well, why wouldn't he? And this morning, you have to understand when the season's over, everything's on the table. We all understand that, right? As career sports people, we understand that. Anything can happen, okay? There's no givens. And I'm just calling up his quote here. Rick Bowness, after last night's 6-3 loss in Game 5 to Colorado, which eliminated them, quote, in the last 2 years, that's by far the best playoff game we've played. It didn't go our way tonight. Couple goals went in off of us. We had some chances that we didn't score. Where was that in our first 4 games? That's a question we're going to have to answer ourselves over the course of the summer. So that doesn't sound to me like a guy that's going anywhere. And for that reason, I said that he would be back. I voted that he would be back. But something's changed in the last hour, and over 60% of respondents are saying, no, he won't be back. I don't expect that there will be any comments on his future today, but I don't know. I don't know Rick Bowness and how he operates. I did want to float this out again before we look at tonight's games. What are you hearing about John Cooper? Because Elliot Friedman said this morning on NHL radio. He said, there's a lot of noise around John Cooper. And I'm like, I love Friedge. He's part of Score alum. We worked together. But I wonder where he's hearing that from. Because the fact of the matter is, I was in the room with John Cooper Monday night where he talking about his future. That seems like not even on anybody's radar that he wouldn't be back in Tampa Bay. He was talking about Steven Stamkos that night, and he said he belongs here. And I can't imagine it'll be a long conversation between him and Julien Brisebois. So if he's talking about Stamkos coming back and that he belongs here, what? Unless I'm missing something, unless you've heard something. This is the first. It just blew my mind that Friedman would bring it up.
Blow my mind, too. I mean, I don't think John Cooper wants to go anywhere or is thinking about going anywhere. He's just assuming he's going to come back. And why wouldn't he, right? I mean, he's had a ton of success. He's one of the most widely respected coaches in the game. And I would even go as far as to say he's going to go down as one of the, higher thought of coaches in the history of the game. He's a very well-liked person. But they've had back-to-back first-round exits now. And, maybe with Julien Brisebois, the bar is set extremely high after the trips to the Stanley Cup finals and the wins and everything else, that the bar is really high. They've been knocked out of the first round now back-to-back years. And look at Paul Maurice in Winnipeg. He had a lot of success there, but eventually he's like, these same buttons I'm pressing, they're not having the same effect. And it could be the same with John Cooper, that just the cycle is coming to an end. The other thing that's coming out this morning is more talk about Rod Brindamore's future in Carolina. They're moving on to the next round. And there's reports now that he might not return or his future's in doubt with the Carolina Hurricanes, all around contract negotiations. So it's very interesting. I know if John Cooper hits the open market, there's going to be a lot of general managers and presidents that are thinking about firing their coach because they want John Cooper.
I shouldn't laugh. But I'll tell you why I am. But first, from the audience, Jen at the Four Seasons writes in and she says, John Cooper to Toronto, LOL. I'm telling you, she said it now 2 straight days. Who knows? I'm not going to say she's wrong. Who the hell knows? Anything can happen. I just finished saying that there's no givens in sports, or for that matter, life. Utah Darren writes in, which, by the way, it's an NHL market. He says the Jets coach sounds like a stand-up guy who was accountable and objective in analyzing his team. Why let him go? To use teenager texting vernacular, IKR. I know, right? But I don't need to tell you and won't tell you how many sports people I've counseled/coached. Legally, I'm not allowed to say it's counseling. It's coaching, mental health coaching, crying to me. But Rod, I didn't deserve to be fired. I didn't do anything wrong. I know. Just the way it goes. And the sooner you get over it, the better. It's easy to say, very hard to do. But you can get there. But I know how to play this. Here's the thing. Somebody's in Elliot Friedman's ear. What you're saying here about John Cooper, somebody's getting him to stir it up. Just like, I don't know who's reporting this about Rod Brindamore. I heard it, too, that maybe he'll go to Seattle with his old buddy Ron Francis. I'd like to think that it's not Rod Brindamore, that he didn't have any idea that this is even going on. And what I know of Rod Brindamore, the former Notre Dame Hound, 1988 Centennial Cup champion, he's not around for this. But I can play this game, too, really well, Darren. I was talking to a football guy this morning, which I was. I swear on my mother's grave as I tell you this right now. I said, what do you think of the Chad Kelly situation? He goes, they're all going down in flames.
How about that?
Am I doing it right? You know what? I was like, what's your take on this? He's like, they're all going down in flames. Anybody defending this guy? How about that? Would that surprise you?
No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't surprise me at all. Again, until we know what's going to happen, until it's all said and done, nobody really knows. But you get a sense on the inside that, especially in situations like this, when you take a stance, you don't want to be on the wrong side of it, right? You just don't want to be on the wrong side because the collateral damage is going to come for you too.
Well, overall, I don't know how I took this off-ramp to Crazy Town, but that's fine. You wonder why the CFL has not done anything about it. They don't know what to do. They've built him up like the next Flutie, and now he's been slapped with all these sexual harassment allegations. What would you do if you were them? Far be it from me to defend the CFL, but I get it. What the hell would you do? Oh, by the way, from our audience, from North Texas, writing in, he says it's not so much about John Cooper actively looking to leave as it is that he'd jump at the opportunity to coach the Leafs. Realistically, he's either Toronto or Tampa bound. Yeah, I'm not willing to poo-poo anything. And you know what? You kind of sit there and go, maybe. What did Ron Lancaster say when he left the Rough Riders as a player in 1976 or whatever year it was? You older folks will have to remind me. He's like, maybe people are just tired of the Ronnie and George show. The two guys that they got a statue in front of in the stadium there, maybe they're just tired of the Ronnie and George show. Maybe John Cooper's tired of the Tampa show. Is maybe what everybody's talking about. What else is he going to do? He's won 2 Stanley Cups, right? You said going to go down as the greatest. They're talking about him as a future Hall of Famer. Whenever anybody talks about John Cooper, it's the future Hall of Fame coach said, Pretty hard to know you're going to the Hall of Fame, but still have to operate. No, you probably got at least 10 more years to coach if you want. He doesn't need the money, right? It's why Babs went to Toronto. I think we all remember it at the time. Those of us that know him very well personally, I was literally like, he's the only guy that could succeed there because his ego is bigger than the city. And even that didn't work. Oh, we've got John Cooper coaching the Leafs next season. That's where we're at today. We got a lot more to get to. Alan May is on the way. Then they won last night. That's right. Crazy. Crazy Town. That's where we are. Moose, we're in Crazy Town. Population, you and me and all of them. We'll be right back on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Foreigner, live in Moose Jaw. Foreigner is back. The Farewell Canada Tour. You're as cold as ice. May 13th, the Moose Jaw Event Center. Foreigner, with special guest, Headpins. Tickets on sale now at sasktix.ca and the Moose Jaw Event Center box office.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
The RP Show continues on this Wednesday. Hope you're having a good one. Here is your daily reminder to reward your love of movies by signing up for Landmark Extras for free today. They get all these great movies coming. I talked myself into going to The Fall Guy last hour. It's in theaters, Landmark Cinemas, May 3rd. With Landmark Extras, which Darren and I both have, you get free movies with accumulation of points, of course. Concession items, however you want to spend those points, invitations to exclusive screenings. You're on, Moose. Munching away. Exclusive screenings, special events, and more. What are you eating? Were you eating something?
Nothing. Just drinking coffee.
It looked like you were chewing something. Okay. Were you chewing your coffee?
Swallowing took a big gulp. Yeah, chewing my coffee. Absolutely.
Okay. Do you know that quarterback for Saskatchewan they used to call Joe 747 Adams?
I know who he
Remember
is,
that?
yeah.
Yeah. We had a guy in Weyburn that I worked with, Perry Foker, the former voice of the Weyburn Red Wings, and he said they should have called him Joe 711 Adams because every time he dropped back to pass, the defenders took a big gulp.
How about that?
God bless Perry, man. He was the best. I was saying, Serena and I were laughing about this the other day. It's one syllable. Weyburn Red Wings. Weyburn Red Wings. The way they say it, it's all one syllable. Weyburn Red Wings. You know? Did you know that? You haven't spent much time
No. That's the new one for me, but I like it.
The Weyburn Red Wings. Dan in Saskatoon writes in, he says, John Cooper, Rod Brindamore, paging Barry Trotz. Are all the Notre Dame guys shuffling around? Well, ironically, they all have jobs. That's the odd thing right now. I don't know why how do we get down this rabbit hole? John Cooper's the coach in Tampa, Brindy's the coach in Carolina, and Barry Trotz is the GM in Nashville. By the way, well, up until Monday, they were all still playing until Tampa lost the Battle of Florida. BW in Edmonton writes in and he says, could Woody end up in Toronto or Seattle after the World Hockey Championship? Talking about Jay Woodcraft, of course. And did you see the quote from the former Oilers coach that came out wherever it was? I mean, I saw it on Instagram, and I vowed not to get my news from Instagram, but I'm like everybody else, where I get it. And he says he hasn't watched any Oilers games since he got fired November 12th, and people seem surprised. The quote was, I haven't watched the Oilers. I've watched every other team to be prepared for my next job. Like, I don't understand. I don't understand, Darren, what people don't get. When you get fired, it's like being dumped. If you hung around her place, you'd be arrested for stalking. What don't you get when you get fired? No, I'm not watching their games. They fired me. What is it? Please explain it. This is not a rhetorical question. Explain it to me, Darren, please. Why people are surprised by this?
Well, because it's different being the dumper or the dumpee, you know? And for Edmonton, they're like, we fired you. Why are you mad at us? You know? You're not a fan of the Oilers still? Come on. We just needed a new coach to win some games. You weren't winning. It wasn't personal. You know, but you don't understand why he might not be a big fan of your team anymore. And he's looking forward to the next page and the next chapter. But I mean, I've never been a fired coach in the NHL.
Yeah. It's not just about that. You ever been dumped? I mean, it's the same thing. It is. You know, what I say last hour, I'm trying to keep a lid on it. Why would I even try at this age? Why would I even try? Because I got a really good Army friend. I think you know him, Brad. Text me. Who are the Riders going to take with a 3rd overall pick? I don't care. They fired me 5 years ago. Anyway, I don't understand it. Tonight's games, Vegas to Dallas, it's 2-2. The Road Warrior Series. Who you picking?
Well, I'm going to go with the Vegas Golden Knights. That's what the trends say. And apparently this glass-banging fan is going to be back in the building, and that's apparently bad luck if you're into that thing. So,
okay. What's the story? Tell me.
Well, have you not seen, Biz and this fan have been going back and forth on social media. Biz calls him glass banger. Apparently there's a fan in the front row. I don't know if he's behind the net or where he is, always banging on the glass. And everybody in the section's getting annoyed at him. They're like, sit down. You're just being annoying. Like, Dallas fans are getting upset. And he doesn't care. And he's lashing out on social media. And the fans are back after him. And he said, dude, you're giving your... And Biz is like, you're giving your team bad juju here. Every time you're banging on the glass, they end up losing. You need to stay home. Sell your tickets. Don't come to the game or your team's going to lose. So it doesn't seem to be on Dallas's side playing at home.
Thank God I've got you and Clark to stay on top of this stuff. because I have no clue what you're talking about or what you just said. And by the way, does Vegas have a glass banger too? Since they can't win at home,
They got something.
Just so you know, yeah, I mean, I follow Biz. As you know, we're friends. He's been on this show, and I think he's great. But all this stuff, like, hey, that Tim Hunter quote yesterday about how bad PK Subban is on the air, Scott Laughlin from NHL Radio retweeted it. I had a current NHL television announcer DM us. Go check our DMs, by the way. You'll see who it is. I ain't going to say. He goes, he's right. I'm like, I don't know. I was watching John Taffer. And I have cut down my social media consumption by like 90%. I still see the important things like what Jay Woodcroft had to say about whether he watched Oiler games or not. But I've cut it down by like 90%, and I'm way happier. So just think about that. Not you, the viewers.
I think we need to make T-shirts.
What do you got? What do you got?
I didn't see it.
What?
I was watching John Taffer. Be the response. Get your guy at Whole Life to make that up. That's unreal.
That's a good one. Boy, you're pretty good at making T-shirts. I mean, the funny thing is, Serena comes in and she sits on the couch with me, and I know I told this the other day. She watched a couple minutes of Bar Rescue, and she's like, I see why you love this. She's like, I could watch this all day. I'm like, I do. And I miss the start of the period sometimes. And the other one is 2.5 Men. It's on all the time. And all the time. On Paramount, on a marathon. I watch it every time. And we sit down and I laugh my ass off. It's funnier the second, third time around. Bob in Saskatoon writes in and he says, boys, hi guys, Jets fans, Rome was not built in a day. Have faith. And I agree with John Cooper. I agree with Jen. John Cooper will be a Leaf next year. And Bob goes on to say, once Toronto media talks about it, rumor mill will spread and be hyped on all their talk shows. It was the same when Stamkos was available. But his wife said, no way. There's a little more to the story, but yeah. And Bob goes on to say, rest in peace, Lyle Bauer, Saskatoon boy. Yeah, we not eulogized him, but we talked about it off the top of hour two. Lyle Bauer, just a tremendous CFL man. I'm wondering who's going to be the next generation of these icons. I don't even know. But for today, it's about Lyle. Speaking of Saskatoon, some guy wrote into the text line. It's so deep in here, Darren, I don't even know if I could find it. We got invited to a golf tournament in Lake Saskatoon, Alberta. Did you even know there was one? I didn't.
First time I've heard of it.
Yeah, never heard of it. I'd go and click on it. What? Lake Saskatoon, Alberta. Well, I don't go in golf tournaments. I will go to them, but I don't go in them. So Kirk in Toronto, just pointing this out, writes in. He says, hi, Rod. May marks a full year since I started watching the RP show. How about that?
How about that?
How about that?
How about that?
We got hung up. Yeah. We got hung up on the Biz thing there for a second. I got Dallas to win. Moose has Vegas. LA Kings at Edmonton. Probably a reason why we haven't talked about this game a ton. I'm surprised the series is still going. Unless Stuart Skinner blows up tonight, and I don't expect that he will, I'll take Edmonton to win. What about you?
So will I. I will too. I can't see the Oilers losing this game or the series at all.
BW in Edmonton. Rod's rant brought to you by the Glass Banger.
How about that?
I wasn't ranting about him. I was ranting about other things, but I wasn't ranting about that. BW in Edmonton says Lake Saskatoon is west of Grand Prairie. I'll take your word for it. I'm a pretty good chance we're not going to be in that golf tournament. But one thing that I do love is not close, is the career that I've had in this perilous trade to have been able to go to all of these places, been through Grand Prairie. I got a very good friend of mine, Andrew, that I was in a high school exchange program with. He's from Grand Prairie. They got a great arena up there. Had a wonderful bull riding event there during COVID, Grand Prairie, but I'm not in a rush to go. From Nelson, our VP of Sim Events, he writes in and he says, I paid enough money. I'll bang on the glass, damn it. God bless Biz for coming up with an out for the Stars when they lose. Imagine the presser after the game. I don't even want to. It's outside the game. It's outside the game. You know what I mean? Like, I'll guarantee you Peter DeBoer has no idea what you guys are talking about. None. And probably Bruce Cassidy, too. Would you agree or disagree?
Yeah, I would agree. 100%. They don't really know what's going on with this.
Monty writes in and says, good morning, Rod and Moose. Good morning, Monty. You missed last hour. Les Lazaruk, the voice of the Saskatoon Blades, was on with us, giving a Winnipeg Jets postmortem and previewing Game 4 of the Warriors and the Blades tonight. Alan May will not be with us today, because of a power outage thing. Apparently, it's going around. Alan May will not be with us, but he will be tomorrow. He said he's having power, Wi-Fi issues. Sends his regards, Alan May of Monumental Sports Network, but he'll be with us next hour. We do have a couple minutes here. Washington, whatever, rolled over, got swept by the Rangers. Nobody expected anything more than that. Ovi didn't show up, whatever. We've talked about that. But a Rangers-Carolina round 2, because we know it's going to be Florida and either Boston, Toronto. And we're not going to talk about that yet. Serena and I will be talking about it on our podcast this afternoon. But Rangers-Carolina, I feel like it could be the greatest series of all time, but we also thought Jets-Avs would be that. So I don't know. What I know is two tremendous hockey teams.
It's going to be fantastic. Like, really, really good. This is, now you're getting into it. Like, this could be the Eastern Conference final. It can't be, but, it's a Stanley Cup level matchup. Like, two of the top teams in the National Hockey League going to go head to head. It's going to be fun. They're in close proximity. If I recall, there was a little bad blood between the Rangers and Hurricanes around ticket sales, right? And getting in and out of buildings, and being allowed to buy tickets last year, the year before. So there's a little bit of rivalry being built. I think it's awesome, man. It's fun. This is what you want.
Yeah. Yeah. Have they given a start time for that series yet, by the way? I don't think
probably
they have,
not. But it could be one of those situations. We've seen this in the past where round 2 starts before round 1 finishes. You might see game 1 in that series on a night that there's still a game 7 being played, let's say between Dallas and Vegas. So that's very much a possibility. Be interesting to see.
Well, the word around here, and we're going to break. We'll come back more of Moose and I after this. But the word, when we were all racing out of American Bank Arena the other night, amongst the media and the staff, was when's round 2 start? And some of the guys thought that it was going to start Saturday night. And Serena's like, well, there's no way. The Boston-Toronto series isn't even over yet, which was a good point. And she's like, will they not start all the series at the same time? And I was like, in junior, they do. But in the Stanley Cup playoffs, they will start round 2 before round 1 is up. If that round 1 series has no bearing on round 2, within a day or two. They've done it. Right? But again, yes, Boston, Toronto's got to finish up. But if Thursday night, if the Bruins win, I would expect game 1 to be here. It's bang. It's sort of like if you go to game 7, that's your problem. The NHL's saying, right? Finish the series earlier. Yeah. We will be right back. I'll tell you the Sober Carpenter text line is open, 902-518-3033. And you can always write in on the streams. We'll be right back on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Foreigner, live in Moose Jaw. Foreigner is back. The Farewell Canada Tour. You're as cold as ice. May 13th, the Moose Jaw Event Center. Foreigner, with special guest, Headpins. Tickets on sale now at sasktix.ca and the Moose Jaw Event Center box office.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Okay, the RP show continues on this Wednesday, and we do have the Moose, so let's bring him in. Hey, where you been, Corey Pedersen? The Hockey Club podcast checking in from Tallahassee, Florida. He writes in and he says, rivalry on par with Lake Saskatoon and Grand Prairie. Okay, there's a rivalry there. Gotcha. I appreciate being invited to the golf tournament, but I'm saying don't count on us. That's all. And it's very tiny, scrunched up writing, so I got to do a little. I got my old man specs here. You got those, Patty? Colin in Ottawa writes in. He says, Bar Rescue is such a good show. Oh, I love it. Listen, I was going to bring this up earlier in the program. I'll bring it up now. Just with Bar Rescue, and I said a regret that I have is not getting to Vegas earlier to be at John Taffer's news conference. Darren, as always, comes to my anxiety-filled rescue and says, hey, the Super Bowl will be in Vegas again. You'll have another chance. So I'm not quite forlorn. but I would have liked to have met John Taffer, but I'm not going to go change my flight for that. If I'd known, I would have. I was thinking, I don't have any regrets professionally. None. I have quite a few personally, but none professionally. Other than that, I would have liked to have met John Taffer. But no other regrets personally. And here's a really weird thing, dude. In the break, I was thinking our Winnipeg commenters are light today. They're light. And I felt like they were spending the time, the day, licking their wounds, refreshing. And now they've all showed up. They've all showed up. For instance, Patrolman Pete writes in, and he says, of all the days to be tied up and have to miss the live show and the Jets post-mortems, and my dog, the GOAT, Les Lazaruk. Les gave a good one. Les gave a good one. Analysis of the Jets. Just rewind on the show. He was here on hour one. They've all showed up, Darren. David, number 1 in Winnipeg, writes in, and he says, CFL, 3 weeks away. Can't wait. Blue Bomber drafts yesterday were intriguing. See, they've turned their attention already to the Bombers, and I think that's what you should do. That's what you should do. And just by the way, Corey Pedersen says he's graduated to progressives. What that is, Darren, is they have both the bifocals melded into one. It's an old people thing. One day you'll figure it out. Progressives, they call it now. What'd you just do? He just dropped his camera. Is Darren okay? Earthquake in Toronto, Clark saying, do we have a weather update? Okay, it's cool. I'll read this comment from Patrolman Pete before we go any further. Patrolman Pete says, I will say right now is that I'm impressed with how the Jets played last night. They went out with their heads held high. Wish they played like that in Colorado, except for Neil Pionk. Ha-ha. I can find a way to segue that into the point I was going to make. And I brought it up yesterday. These Stanley Cup playoffs so far have been pretty disappointing. And if you're a Winnipeg Jets fan, you would say they've been very disappointing. The Battle of Florida only went 5 games. This one only went 5 games. What's been really great about these playoffs that we thought might be the best ever?
I know. It really largely, the first round's kind of gone by, and it's over. Even the Vancouver-Nashville series, because of the goaltending changes for Vancouver, is maybe a little interesting, but largely those games have been, I hate to say, hard to watch because, there's just the lack of chances, the lack of goals, the lack of opportunities and excitement in those games. I mean, not for Canucks fans and Predators fans, they're awesome. But I think you look at, the Toronto-Boston series would have been the same way if Toronto didn't win last night. But they won, so that series is very interesting. And now this Vegas-Dallas series has gotten really interesting. But that's it. Those 2 series, we're barely even talking about Edmonton and LA because we just expect that to be like a preseason for the Edmonton Oilers. And they're just going to get through that, and then it will get interesting. So this might be the first year that the second round is better than the first.
Wow, the Rangers-Carolina series right there is proof, I would say, of that. By the way, I clicked on the break on the Sports Wire, and there was already a story out there previewing the Hurricanes and the Rangers, and I can't wait to read it. But I will say this is the first time, and I have said this before, since I was a teen, that I'm not in a playoff draft per se. I'm in a playoff bracket, and you're in the same one with the Hughes Sports podcast, which has completely gone to crap anyways, because I had the Jets picked to win, so thanks. The Leafs always make it interesting. I'll be honest with you, with the drama that they are and the grease fire that they are, the dumpster fire, still better. I want to feel like it was Don Cherry one time who said the Leafs, maybe it wasn't Grapes. Somebody said it, the playoffs are better when Toronto's in them. No, it wasn't Cherry, but shoot, it might have been me. But it was Don Cherry's more engaged when the Leafs are in. We have no idea how he feels right now. He's not tweeting a whole lot of. I think Grapes at 90 has put it into park. But the playoffs really suck when the Leafs aren't in them. So this drama that they're bringing, and will Matthews play? Will he not? Nylander's mystery. That's been interesting. And for you, probably pretty nerve-wracking too, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. There's plenty there, and the history helps play into it for sure. And it'll get that way in Vancouver if they get past, the Preds. It'll really get that way for Edmonton in a round or two. If Edmonton ends up at some point, against Vegas or Dallas or somebody like that, it's going to be really interesting. But you're right. The Toronto-Boston is very interesting because of all the storylines and the adversity. You need to have both sides of it, and that series has it.
And the guys yelling at each other on the bench.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. It's just a Toronto thing. They just bring the drama. Cowboys are no different, man. I mean, I'd like to say that I don't know what it's like, but I do know what it's like because we have that with the Cowboys all the time. I don't like it, but it's just the way that it is, And as I've said, I want the Leafs to win this series because they just have to deal with so much crap. I won't bring you back for overtime, other than to say, for somebody to say John Cooper will be coaching the Leafs next year, which seems to be for whatever reason, that's the narrative. Don't forget on May 1st, that's what people were saying, because I don't see how that could happen. But then I'm not saying it won't. Why would you want to be part of that? I wouldn't. What's attractive about it?
Well, the attractiveness is that if you go to Toronto and you do the thing that hasn't been done, you win a Stanley Cup in Toronto, you're immortal. That's different. That's different than winning a cup anywhere else. Not that it's more special to be a Leaf. It has nothing. The Leafs are no better than anybody else. But just because of the storylines and how long it's been and all the rest, you'll be immortal. Like, the Boston Red Sox, the Chicago Cubs, breaking that curse, being a part of that is just holds something different than not. So that would be the only allure.
Thank you. I'll never get that because the answer really is ego. Right, and that's we went to break when I was bringing this up before. Babs, it would have fit perfectly if Babs had won a Stanley Cup there, but that should show all and sundry that they're not capable of winning for reasons that we're not the Leafs show. We're talking about it because they're in the playoffs right now, and that's what everybody's talking about. I have no idea who could lead him to win there. Like, literally, if Babcock couldn't, that's where this is coming from, eh? People think John Cooper is the only guy that could win a Stanley Cup in Toronto. Is that what it is? This has kind of knocked me on my ass today.
I know.
It's the first I heard of it was today, and now everybody's talking about it.
I know. It came onto my radar during this show. Rod Brindamore has been more on my radar than John Cooper not coming back to Tampa. I understand why it could happen. I do. But at the same time, I still think that's an unlikely situation.
Now we've hit on something. If you want to stick around, you can. David in number 1 in Winnipeg says, free meals for life to whomever coaches the Leafs to win Lord Stanley. Ryan in Saratoga, New York says, it's probably one of the reasons why Aaron Rodgers wanted to go to the New York Jets. But that's just my thinking. Yes, and being disrespected in Green Bay in his thinking, but I wouldn't want to climb into Aaron Rodgers' head. No, boy. From Corey Patterson, he says, who wouldn't want to work for former Regina Pat, Brad Treliving? Hey, listen, I get it. I saw a tree here. Last game of the regular season, he looked cool as a cucumber, which, by the way, his hay's in the barn. What's a GM going to do now? You've made all the changes. You brought in Bertuzzi, who I thought had a fantastic hockey game last night. Ryan Reeves, I wouldn't have done, but whatever. Max Domi was a factor. Tree has done his thing. And he is a fantastic guy. As you know, Corey, most former Regina Pats are. We'll be right back with overtime after this on Game Plus TV, WQEE Radio, and the streams.
How about that?
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Foreigner, live in Moose Jaw. Foreigner is back. The Farewell Canada Tour. You're as cold as ice. May 13th, the Moose Jaw Event Center. Foreigner, with special guest Headpins. Tickets on sale now at sasktix.ca and the Moose Jaw Event Center box office.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Hi, my name is Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at iksgameday.com.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
We're going to do a sports update here. I'm assuming Moose stuck around. You don't need to bring him on just yet. Okay. Sports update on this Wednesday. Lyle Bauer, a former CFL player and executive, has passed away. He was 65. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers, the team Bauer played for and later served as CEO, announced Bauer's death on their Instagram page today. Lyle, a Saskatoon product, played his entire 10-year CFL career as an old lineman with the Bombers, 82 to 91. Won 3 Grey Cups, 84, 88, and 90. Lyle, who played collegiately at Weber State in Utah, was inducted into the Blue Bombers Hall of Fame in 1998. After retiring as a player, he became Winnipeg's assistant GM in 92, held that job for 3 years, returned 5 years later in 2000 as team president and CEO, with the franchise struggling financially. He helped the community-owned team regain its footing on and off the field. During his front office tenure, the Bombers reached the Grey Cup 4 times. He helped create the Never Alone Foundation in 2004 after being diagnosed with throat cancer. The foundation assists cancer patients and their families in their battle with the disease. Quote from Wade Miller, the Bombers president, Lyle Bauer played a significant role for the Blue Bombers during his time with the club as a player, assistant general manager, and team president. He helped guide the team through some difficult challenges at the turn of the millennium and was a key component in the franchise's rebirth in the early 2000s. Condolences to the Bomber faithful, but especially to his great friends. And I know a lot of those guys, they just love Lyle. That's a tough day in Winnipeg. Sports update is for Landmark Cinemas. Today's the day to take advantage of it. You don't need to be Jack and Rose, Han and Chewie, or Mr. and Mrs. Smith to take advantage of this. The movie twosome day, Wednesday's here. 2 popcorn, your choice of candy, 2 tickets, 2 drinks. But you do need a partner to go because this deal is worth sharing. Landmark Cinemas movie twosome every Wednesday. Check your favorite Landmark Cinemas for showtimes. I brought Moose back. We didn't have much time here. Colin in Ottawa had a great comment. What's up? What are you laughing about?
No, just happy to be here.
Colin. Yeah, me too. I love this show. I love this job. I love it all. Colin in Ottawa says Maple Leafs fans are like rich kids with their Christmas lists when it comes to possible coaches or players for their beloved Maple Leafs. Yeah, but they get it. Is that what you're saying? They get what they want. They ask for it. They get it.
I don't know.
That would be a great
if that's
poll
the answer
question.
or not.
Well,
But
John
you know
Cooper,
what?
will they ever be the coach?
Ask.
Will he ever be coach of the Leafs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think so. But you know what? You got to ask. And I love how they're already looking ahead. You just won. You got momentum in this series. One more game and you're forced in game 7. It's just, I don't get it.
I'm not even sure. We got to do some digging because it's the media pundits that are saying it, which, by the way, are all Leaf fans. Give me a break. I got dogged for years for being a homer. These guys are all Leaf homers. At least Biz admits it. You know? So,
yeah.
Oh, man, it's just blown my mind. It's blown my mind. Moose, enjoy the hockey tonight. Thanks for all of this. We'll do it all again tomorrow.
You bet. Thank you.
Everybody give our social media accounts a follow at The Rod Pedersen Show on Instagram, at Rod Pedersen Show on Twitter, Facebook, all of that. Show us some love because we show you love every day with a great show for free. And we'll see you tomorrow right here at noon Eastern.
Who has more fun than us?